Welcome to the Merlin Crypto Market Update located on the X app. I'm Abs, the host and senior engagement officer at Merlin, and today's episode features a replay from our Merlin X Spaces. Every other Tuesday at 8:30 p.m., you can catch us live on the X app at Get Merlin Crypto. We dive into captivating discussions about cryptocurrency and blockchain technology with our engaged audience, special guests, and the founders of Merlin. Please note, these spaces can sometimes experience technical hiccups and end suddenly. It's all part of the experience. Thanks for tuning into the Crypto Market Update, proudly brought to you by Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning into our Merlin X Spaces. We're just getting everybody brought up right now. We're waiting on our host, Abs. My name is Jeremy. We'll get started here shortly. But in the meantime, listen to Johnny Crypto's favorite band, a happy little jingle. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. I had a little speaker malfunction, so I apologize if you couldn't hear that music as normally as you normally could. Otherwise, I have sent a request to Abs. So Abs, if you could accept that request, we will get you right on up here so we can get started. I've also sent a request to Mikkel and Johnny. Mikkel is our special guest tonight, but we will talk about him more in a moment. Let's see here. See, approve. Hey, Abs, that just brought you up as a speaker, but man. All right. Well, welcome to tonight's crypto update on X Spaces from Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto. Tonight, some of the topics that we will hit on will be X payments coming soon, Bitcoin Breakout, and XRPL Smart Contracts. My name is Jeremy. I'll be the moderator this evening, as well as one of the co-hosts. I'm the Chief Finance and Operations Officer for Merlin. You can follow me on social media at Age of Jeremy and on X at Age of Jeremy Q. Your host this evening, as always, is the amazing Abs, Merlin's senior engagement specialist, and also the host of the Good Morning Crypto Show. The Good Morning Crypto Show comes to you Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern from the 3T Warrior Academy YouTube page. You can also follow Abs right here on X at ABS GM Crypto. Again, that is ABS, ABS GM Crypto. So make sure that you give him a follow along with all the other speakers that you will be hearing this evening. One of our special guests tonight is Mikkel. Subscribe to Mikkel's YouTube channel at Mikkel XRP, where he documents the history of the game-changing cryptocurrency XRP. You can also follow Mikkel on X at XRP Mikkel. But since we're on X, just go ahead and click on his name and you can follow from there. These spaces are brought to you by Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto. Not only can you use Merlin to track your coins across wallets and exchanges in one simple, secure web app, Merlin also allows you to set up exit strategies for your coins so you know when it's time to sell. Please follow Merlin here on X. You can also follow Merlin on LinkedIn at Get Merlin Crypto and on Instagram and Threads at Merlin_crypto. Merlin is continuing to innovate and we're continuing to add new connections to the app. You can now use Wallet Connect to connect to over 300 compatible wallets. We also have added the ability to connect to Phantom, Uniswap, Arculus, Bifrost, and Kivo. If you have questions or you want to see if Merlin is right for you, head on over to merlincrypto.com after this X Spaces and request a demo. One of our customer support specialists can help you set up time to go over the app with you to make sure that it is a right fit for you, and I believe it's going to be a right fit for every single one of you. Our Merlin X Spaces are about fostering a conversation, so please raise your hand if you would like to join in the conversation at any time. You may also ask your questions in the comments, and I will work to get them sent up to everyone to get answered. You can find our Crypto Update X Spaces on the Merlin YouTube channel at Merlin Crypto. You can also find them wherever you get your podcasts by searching Merlin X Spaces. Here on Merlin X Spaces, we enjoy debate, but please keep it family friendly and please be respectful. We want these to be an inclusive atmosphere. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent. And with all of that being said, Abs, I'm going to kick it over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. And guys, we're going to talk a lot about the XRPL developments. We got some Bitcoin news, but I think the biggest news from today is that John Deaton, as of right now, is winning the Republican primary in Massachusetts. So that's some exciting news that we can start off today with. We're going to kick it over to Mikkel, but Johnny, I'd love to just get a quick introduction from you. We'll go to Mario, and then we'll kick it over to our special guest. Johnny, how are you feeling tonight, and what do you think about John Deaton?
Abs, I'm feeling great, and good evening to all the Word Maniacs out there who show up. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. I'm excited. Only a few days away from Revive. I can't wait to see you guys live in person, off the grid, hanging out with a retreat. Oh, man, I'm so excited about that, Abs. But that's a few more days away. So until then, yeah, big news about Deaton. No surprise there. I expect him to win it. I'm really, really excited that we got our man Mikkel here tonight. Jen will be joining us later, too. It's so cool to be here with a bunch of friends. So I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait to hop into it tonight.
Mikkel, we're definitely going to be talking about the introduction of the native smart contracts because some of the XRPL developers were pretty upset about that news. I want to get your perspective on it because we covered it on GMC. But Mario, before we kick it over to Mikkel, how you feeling? And thanks for being here, bro.
Hey guys, good evening. Hope you're all doing amazing. Sorry it took me a little bit. I wasn't prepared to hit that unmute button, but yeah, super excited to be here. That's great news that John Deaton is winning. Honestly, we need him to win. He's going to be a positive voice for crypto, and that's kind of like that last piece of the puzzle that we need in the crypto space right now is just having a positive voice. Pushing that regulation, that positive regulation that we so much need in the crypto space. But I'm excited to get into a lot of the topics that you have prepared for us, Abs. Excited to talk to Mikkel tonight. And obviously, everyone in the team, Jeremy, you killed that introduction. Johnny K, Abs, let's do it.
Shout out to you, Mario. So, Mikkel, before I get into anything that I have prepared, I want to hear what's on your mind and what was your reaction to the news yesterday. I was excited, right? But Derek from Expector kind of put me in my place on Twitter. He told me I didn't understand the news, so I had to go in, do a little bit more research, and read some of the developers' articles. So, long story short, what I think happened is that XRPL developers made these proposals years ago, and because of Ripple's opinions, they were not made. And so now that they're coming around, people are a little bit frustrated with how that process took place and didn't expose the decentralized nature of the XRPL. So that's kind of the backstory for anybody who doesn't understand. But Mikkel, I want to kick it over to you. How you feeling tonight? How's your move been? And what's your reaction to all this?
Yeah, no, I'm good. Pleasure to be back as always. It was nice. I actually think I beat Abs to his own show tonight, so we'll call that an accomplishment right there. Um,
Listen, Mikkel, if you know me, you know I'm always 5 minutes late. I'm sorry about that.
no, I'm messing abs. No, everything's great over here. In terms of native smart contracts coming to the XRP Ledger, I mean, it's tough for me to comment on it because from a developer's perspective, obviously I'm not a developer, and I'm sure there are frustrations in building anything and having things change. But I don't know. From my perspective on the outside, it always seemed like things were pretty transparent in how it was going to go. I don't think Ripple ever straight up said there won't be hooks on mainnet. In fact, that seemed to be speculated by a lot of the developers initially when Ripple kind of turned away from it. My understanding of the situation, and I talked about this pretty extensively, was always that they just wanted to see it deployed in a real life environment outside of mainnet to ensure everything worked properly and was safe. And then so long as that did work properly, there's no reason why it couldn't come to mainnet. Now, I think right now there's still some worries about, hey, what will this do to scalability? And I don't think I am the most qualified person to comment on the impact. But to me, obviously, more programmability for the XRP Ledger that doesn't compromise payment speed or any other efficiency is obviously more than welcome. So I think it's a very exciting development. And I think overall, outside of some of the initial reaction you're seeing on social media, this is a very good thing for the development of the XRP Ledger, and to a certain degree, regardless of even if it gets passed or not, because just being able to kind of come together and focus on the long-term vision of kind of how this protocol is going to evolve, I think that's all important as a decentralized community.
Yeah, I want to get Johnny Crypto's reaction because I didn't get to talk to him earlier before I share my take because I already gave it on Good Morning Crypto this morning, Johnny. And I do want to give it an update because I think somebody just shared it. John Deaton is currently up in Massachusetts. He's got 57%. Second place is 32%. So shout out to John Deaton. I am from Boston. John Deaton got some votes from my family today. So shout out to John. I really hope he pulls this one. And I believe he will. But Johnny Crypto, give me your reaction to the smart contract news and what's your perspective on some of the frustration from the community?
At the end of the day, Abs, as we talked about always, the key to any growth in these systems is going to be adoption. And the key to adoption is going to be use cases. And the more use cases you can create and make for your technology, the higher probability you have to be adopted, right? So, from my perspective, when you look at it, I'm not surprised that they came out and said, "Hey, we're going to add this capability to it." Don't be surprised if there's even more announcements coming to build it, because I think when they started this whole thing, like, "Hey, we're just going to launch this thing, and we're going to be a cross-border payment solution company," and I think they realized afterwards, like, "Yeah, that may not be that may not be the only way to go," and they're really starting to expand the wings and add capability. I expect to see more and more of that kind of news. So I think it's a good thing in the long run. I know the developers might be a little aggravated or pissed off. I get it. But at the end of the day, in the long run, if you're an XRP holder or a Ripple holder for that matter, as well, if you own the pre-IPO through Link2, there's going to be, I think, long-term benefits here just based on the the technologies they're building and putting themselves in a position to increase their use cases and in the long run get that adoption rate, because right now everybody's battling. It's like 1997 all over again, and I know a lot of you guys were in diapers and you weren't around to know what it's like, but you have all these companies fighting for this size of prize, right? This real world asset tokenization play that everybody wants a piece of now. Okay, because Larry Fink has come out and said how big it is, and everybody's going to go battle for it. And this is what you're going to see. You're going to see everybody trying to build capability to do that. And then not everybody's going to win, but not any single person or technology will win. It may be a combination of different technologies coexisting. So for me, as an XRP holder, I'm excited for it. I don't want to see them sitting stagnant and not making improvements to the system and to the ledger whenever they can. I think it's good that they did it.
Sorry, I agree with you guys. I accidentally hit the mute button there. I pulled a Johnny. But what I was just reading through the Ripple Insights document that they published last night, and there's something that stuck out to me. It's the Axler partnership. We covered this earlier in the week, and I think it was Vet who put out the highlights of that interview, where they discussed how they were going to be launching multi-purpose tokens in the fourth quarter of this year. They may have even said Q3 within the video, but I think we're already into Q4 here. And the whole purpose of it was so that institutions could begin tokenizing real-world assets on the XRPL. Well, listen to this news from the Ripple Insights article last night. A key feature of the EVM sidechain is its ability to leverage Axelar as a bridge and facilitate seamless transactions between the XRPL and the EVM sidechain. XRP is the native asset and gas token, ensuring the efficient cross-chain transactions. So we're going to see XRP be used as liquidity for tokenized assets on the XRPL. That's from my understanding alone. And this whole system, the Axelar, I guess you'd call it banking system that they've created, is connecting to over 55 blockchains with XRP being used as a native asset. So eventually, I think a lot of these smart contracts are going to be leveraged through multiple blockchains all at once. And we could see Axelar use XRP as that liquidity between these rails, which is pretty exciting. And that was my biggest takeaway from the news. Ripple really has no obligation. And I know this is like kind of a tough and maybe even controversial statement. Ripple has a limited obligation to appease the XRP community, but they do have an obligation to do right by the XRPL. And I think that this was a massive move in the right direction. So, Mikkel, maybe you could just expand on it and then we'll move into some of our next topics.
Yeah, I mean, the funny part is at the end of the day, it was what everyone wanted from the start. So, I mean, the initial cry originally was that we needed smart contracts on the XRP ledger, and I think there was the delay to make sure they worked properly, and now here they are. So I'm a little confused on kind of the disappointment about it. Like, it seems like there should only really be excitement. I think the only way this turns into any kind of negative is if it ultimately does turn out to have a negative implication on the XRP ledger's throughput. But I don't really think that's very much of a possibility, to be honest with you. Everything always has some kind of risk to it. But what we got to see was live testing of it on the Zhao network. And we got to see exactly how it functioned, if there was any errors, if there was any bugs. So, I mean, personally, despite the fact that it was slow, I think it was rolled out in a pretty smart way to at least make sure that it wasn't going to have any kind of negative implication on main chain. You get to see it work, you roll it out, and now hopefully a lot of the experimental kind of stuff done on that side chain can now be ported over to the main ledger for the XRP network. And that's how a lot of blockchains are built nowadays. You saw Flare do a similar thing with Songbird. I know it wasn't necessarily the intention in this case to do it with XRP and the Zhao network, but that's kind of how it worked out. And I think it makes sense to be able to test some of the riskier stuff on another chain and then roll it out to main chain. And to me, with how early we are to institutional adoption and how early we are to real world use cases for cryptocurrency, you just want to make sure you're doing it right in these early days. So the chain is extremely flexible later down the road if it ultimately needs to be.
Another big detail here, as I'm reading through this article just one more time, is that this is going to allow coders to use Solidity to build on the EVM and then apply it on the XRPL. So that's been a massive hurdle, is that most of these developers have a really difficult time building decentralized applications on the XRPL. Not only do we not have smart contracts, but the coding language in and of itself is very difficult. Now this is basically the easiest coding language. Solidity is like layer one for programming, and Quincy could probably speak to this a lot better than I could because he's a programmer. But just listening to other people in the industry, this is a big move for developers themselves to be able to build out those decentralized applications on the XRPL. So I do think that's pretty exciting. Jeremy, I saw we got a guest speaker up here. I can't pronounce your name, guest speaker. I'm going to go with Luke for the time being. So shout out to you, Luke. Thank you for joining us. And what's on your mind? Oh, I think he just got booted, Jeremy, right as I said that.
Oh, yeah, I think so. It says connecting. Well, we'll let him come back up.
I got one thing real quick, just jumping in on Abs' point. The way I kind of see this moving forward is, and it's kind of a cool system, is that if we do have very light smart contracts on the XRP ledger or smart contracts, then you have the native protocol level amendments, which are things like AMM and DID. And those are like chain-wide protocols that everyone follows or rules inherent to the entire XRP ledger system. And then on top of that, you have like optional functionality you can opt into via hooks in some of these smart contract applications, where if they're powerful enough, they can be ported over to main chain. So you almost have like the testing bed for amendments that can be ported over to main chain. And then if you have anything overly complex that would be too burdensome for the ledger, then you hook up to one of the side chains like Abs was just talking about. So it's a really cool structure to kind of address all these different use cases at different layers of the chain. And I think these are the kinds of things we've really been waiting for to expand the possible development on the chain and add feature sets that are going to be important.
Johnny, one more thing before we move on here and get into some other articles is that when we talked to Quincy in XRP Las Vegas, remember that he said institutional volume on the XRPL is going to be one of the most important things for the price of XRP going forward. Well, I think Axler is going to contribute to that with Ripple over here because I'm reading this article about their collaboration. And what it says is that they're actually planning on launching treasury bonds, airline credits, art/collectibles, and university certificates eventually on the XRPL. And they're beginning this starting in Q1 of 2025 is when they believe they'll start phasing these assets onto XRP. So I find that to be really interesting because imagine 2 or 3 years from now, the entire XRPL, maybe it's not even going to be focused on on-demand liquidity. Maybe everyone's just going to be talking about tokenized assets. What do you think?
That's exactly kind of what I was hinting at earlier. Is I think Ripple has come to the conclusion that hey, maybe they may or may not be successful in in building out a cross-border payment solution and having these other irons in the fire or other options for other types of use cases helps grow what we've been talking about from day one as we talked it with our friend Quincy, institutional daily trade volume. It's exactly what we want to see on the XRP ledger because that's going to drive the market cap, and of course the market cap then needs to will drive the price based on the availability of the coin, the number, the volume of coins available in distribution. So absolutely, we want to see growth. We want to see different types of use cases. And Axler will certainly be one of them. But now, it doesn't stop there. We need 20 different Axlers, right? We need a bunch of different things happening to be able to grow up. But it all starts in one place. You got to start somewhere. And to me, it's a good starting point. It just shows you where the potential is. And to me, like companies like Axler, those are going to be investment grade type companies or things too, right? It's like looking into, to me, there's going to be a lot of killer applications that are going to be out there. And remember, the blockchain is going to be the back end of it. Most people aren't even going to know what we're talking about, right? No, like you don't give a crap how I'm talking to you right now, right? You're just using your iPhone. But there's a lot of technologies in the background that are making everything work right now so you can hear my voice and we can see your face and all this stuff, right? But nobody gives a crap about that except for the people who own those companies. And that's where it gets exciting because we are investing in the blockchain, which is going to be the back end. It's driving all this stuff. And here we are investing in all this stuff before the institutions are. We got the front run a lot of it. So it's pretty exciting times, Abs. But we just need to continue to see these use cases grow. And again, this is why I say we're so early. Like we're nowhere near utility. Oh, we're in utility. No, nowhere near utility. We're in the beginning of building this stuff. But the utility, it's going to come out later. But we're getting started, so it is exciting. I'm really excited and bullish in the long run for the XRP Ripple Ledger and where we are going with the technologies in general as a whole.
Jeremy, you got your hand up, so floor is yours. But we got Jenna joining it as well, so I'm going to try to get Jenna up here. Shout out to her.
Yep, I just invited Jenna to speak, and Gonzo keeps coming in and out. He said that he couldn't hear, so he left and came back. So he came back, and then I tried to add him, and I don't know what happened. But I just wanted to add that I have seen the AP Associated Press call John Deaton as the winner, but I'm looking at the live vote count, and only 3% of the votes are in, and he's obviously winning at 63.7%. And just because I know John Deaton and have had the pleasure to speak with him on multiple occasions, I'm definitely 100% rooting for him to at least beat out the other Republican candidates. And obviously he's good for crypto, so I have to support him in that 100%. But yeah, so I just wanted to give you guys an update because I love watching polls, so that's where we're at. So a few places have called him as the winner, but I'm waiting for the New York Times to call it because they're doing the vote count.
That is pretty cool. And I'm wondering, will you guys be watching? Anybody out there listening? Would you watch a live debate between John Deaton and Elizabeth Warren? Like, I've actually don't. I don't
100%.
Dude, I already got the popcorn ready, man. Let's go.
That's what I'm saying, Johnny. I'm like, I don't even pay attention to politics, so I don't know how it actually works. But I assume at some point they have to stand on a stage and debate their ideas, right? Am I right
Well, I
about
mean,
that?
they don't have to.
No.
No, they don't have to. Even presidents don't have to. You usually invite them to a debate, and then it's up to the other person on if they wanted to do the debate, and then they decide on how the debate is going to go. That's one of the things too. I'm excited for with X. Like, I think that is, even though X hasn't gotten the revenue where it needs to be for the investors, the stuff that apart from this, the freedom of speech part of the platform that Elon has done with X, I think X is going to be the future of debates and having conversations. So what would be awesome, and I think this would be good for Elizabeth Warren as well, if they were to able to do a debate through X, or to do it specifically through XTV, because I don't know if you guys are up to date, but XTV went beta live today on multiple different platforms.
I did see that. It was like Amazon, Hulu, and a couple of other big streaming services, right? I think so.
Yeah. So I think that if it gets marketed properly, I think we'll see a lot more interesting kinds of conversation. Like, obviously, Tucker Carlson is 100% here on X. I know that that Mr. Beast has some relationship as it relates to content push out. So it'll be exciting to see those types of media content pushes out through an XTV streaming platform.
And the title of the space is that actually X payments are coming soon, because earlier we played a video, Mikkel, and I'm going to kick it to you on this one, where the CEO of X said that not only are payments coming to X soon, but they're starting in the United States. So I thought that was a pretty big deal. I'll post the tweet at the top, but what's your reaction?
Yeah, two things. One, I'm actually seeing that the Times has called it for Deaton. So I think Deaton has won that, which is massive. I think we should all be extremely proud. I think he's one of the few people, I think, in the world as a Republican who could actually beat Elizabeth Warren. So massive shout out to everything he's doing on that front. Kind of funny. I'm kind of not that much of a, I don't know, or I'm not very convinced that X payments are going to be something that are that important. I don't know. I don't tend to pay a lot of people on this platform for things I do on a daily basis. I pay a lot of my friends in my real life who I don't interact with really on X. So it's weird. I don't know if we create these communities on X where we all get together, but there's normally not a situation really in which we're all paying each other. I don't know. Maybe that changes, but for me, it just doesn't. I don't know how much I personally would use a payment function on X. Maybe if they integrated an entire kind of financial suite there, which I think is their long-term goal. But I don't know. I'm not that excited kind of about a payment system on X at the current moment.
I am excited about the fact that it's coming to become like an everything app. And I think Elon said this back in 2022 when he purchased Twitter. He stated that he wanted to copy a lot of the ideas from WeChat, kind of combining like your social media, your finances, your business, everything can kind of be done in one location. And I do feel like he's stayed true to that image, at least thus far, where he's letting people say what they want to say. And now he's going to include our finances. So I agree with you, Mikkel. Like, maybe there's not going to be that many people who leverage the actual Ripple payments. But if it happens during the bull run, I guarantee you this, it'll be a CNBC narrative for about a week and a half. They're going to be talking about that. So that'll be a huge news for the mainstream news.
I think it makes more sense for them to do that for their own infrastructure, which I think is the more obvious use case for it, like doing doing payments for creators on the platform and then being able to spend directly from that balance. And I think what it does is creates a scenario in which you're not reliant on like a payment processor like Stripe or a bank account to possibly shut you down or deplatform you, which I think overall is like very important, especially if he really can adhere to his free speech, open platform kind of motto. It is really nice to be able to say, oh, well, this platform really isn't reliant on a traditional player who might be more willing to shut you down or deplatform you. So I think that's probably the thing I would be most excited about. It's new, it's different, it offers something that is a lot more censorship proof. So I guess I am excited about that aspect of it.
Yeah, and two, just to piggyback two things off of Mickle. First is, yeah, so New York Times and Boston Herald called it, so we'll call it. So John Deaton did win that Republican primary, so that is super excited. So I encourage everybody to go over to John Deaton's X account after this and give him a congratulations, just because, I have, like I said, I've talked to him on multiple occasions. He's a great guy. Had the chance to meet his daughter. So I'm a really big fan of what John Deaton's trying to do for the community, and I wish him the best against Elizabeth Warren. It's going to be a very hard one to beat, but I think if anybody can do it, he can. So I definitely encourage everyone to go give him a congratulations. And then to piggyback on what Mikkel was saying, I haven't read a lot of how the X payments is going to work, but fully. But I think that if you are able to incorporate cryptocurrency into it, which I would imagine that you could be able to, and if other people know more about it, I'd be interested to hear. But I think that the ability to integrate the cryptocurrency into it as well would be something that could make it a mainstay for people to utilize here on the platform, especially since X seems to be a little bit more crypto centric. In regards to use cases, we have, different individuals that are partnered with Merlin that we have inside of a community in X. It would be easy to pay them through X because of the fact that we're all inside of a community here where we communicate with some of our partners. And the same thing also too with another business that I have that I own called Age of Radio. We have a bunch of podcast hosts that we pay royalties to for their shows, and a lot of them are inside of a chat that's here inside of X. And I think that would also be a really good use case from a business standpoint to be able to pay out people, especially if you're building that community inside of here. So I think it just all depends on how they utilize it and how I guess they market it. And depending also too, I think that the more you use X, the more you'll find I guess maybe different scenarios where it would work out. But back to you, Abs. And I know Jim's not a fan of it.
I think you just convinced me right there. I think that was a great use case there, and that kind of changes my perspective on a bit of that. So that's awesome.
Oh, awesome, Nicole. Appreciate you,
guys. See, Jeremy, you're doing the job of the mainstream analyst. They may need you during this bull run for that retail liquidity.
Hey, you know what? Me and Elon don't agree on a lot of stuff, but like certain things. But something I do agree with him on is definitely where he's taking X, and also too with where he's taking SpaceX. And I think he even said it once on one of his posts. You don't have to he disagrees with a lot of shit that people say on here, but he will protect the right for people to say it, and you have to give him respect for that, in my opinion, even if all the things that for me personally I don't agree with him on. But as far as his ability to take X to the next level, I know again the investors probably aren't as happy because it hasn't shown the results. But one of the things that, if you've watched Elon as long as I have over the time that he was at PayPal and what he's done with Tesla and SpaceX, they're long-term strategies. It's not shit that he's trying to do overnight to turn a profit. So I'm really excited for the stuff that he's integrating here into X, and I believe, based off of just the reason why he created PayPal, was so that we could make transactions with people on Mars. I mean, that was the whole idea around whatever PayPal was before it was called PayPal that he had. And I think that I think it was X something also. And so the point is that he's always stayed true to what his vision is. And I think you can never go wrong with supporting someone who has that long-term vision, is trying to make, leaps and bounds to accomplish his goals. But anyways, I'll kick it back over to you, Abs, not to go on a tangent or a soapbox talk here.
No, I think it's worthy. It's honestly a good conversation too, because now that they're launching a streaming service and everybody's going to have such easy access to watch X videos like they're watching YouTube videos, I think that's going to change the game too, especially for people who are like Tucker, who are doing 100% of their content on this platform. They're going to have way more opportunity to get in front of people's eyeballs. I really believe that. Johnny Crypto, we are going to move on, but I did want to give you a chance to make some final statements here. Any thoughts on the X adding payments and the whole narrative that Jeremy broke down?
At the end of the day, I sound like a broken record here. I always think whenever you add capability, you add use cases, it's always going to be a potentially a positive thing. I kind of in the camp of Mickle. I don't use stuff for payments, but we'll see what happens, where it goes. But a big shout out to Deaton, the victory there. I think that's exciting. That's probably the biggest thing, because what we really need is advocates in Congress.
100%.
We need crypto advocates in Congress. And the cool thing about Deaton, which I really love, when we got to see him at the XRP Las Vegas event that Brad Kimes does every year, when Deaton got up on the stage, you really learned a lot about him. And it wasn't just about crypto. Everyone says he's crypto, and he is, but it was all about freedom and his stories that he talked about and what he really wants to represent in Congress. I mean, he's going to be a fresh breath there if he can get in there. And you know, and I really hope he can. Now, listen, I've been in politics. I know what it's like, right? It is hard to beat an incumbent, especially someone as popular as hers with the name recognition. But the way these things work is, you know, what we want to look at is he's going to win the nomination, right? Or he's won it, so we know that. But now the question is, if he beats her, great. If he doesn't, you look to see how close he came, because remember, he's building name recognition. And what typically happens is the first time you go around, you know, like I said, it's tough to see an incumbent. But the second time, once you've got that name recognition built up, is big. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm super excited because I think if he doesn't beat her this time, he definitely will the next time. But having a guy like him on Congress going to be big for us. But with that said, we got Jenny here, so hopefully we can get her up and talk to her.
Hey,
Yeah,
guys.
so hey, real quick, Jenna, before I go over to you, I'm so sorry. Me and Abs are trying to get Abs set up as a co-host to make it a little bit easier for some of this because it's not putting him up as a co-host. So I booted him for a second, but he's requesting to speak. So Abs, I'm going to deny it, and I've sent you that request as a co-host like 5 times. So I'm going to deny this, send you that invite to co-host, see if you see it, and I'm going to give Jenna the floor here so we can hear what she has to say. So Jenna, the floor is yours while I try to figure this out with Abs.
No problemo. Thanks, Jeremy. Hey, guys. So while I wanted to touch on, because I know we're going to move on to the next topic, with the X payments, you know, I'm definitely more in line with what Jeremy's saying. If they're integrating crypto, that's nothing but good for crypto, because you have to think crypto Twitter is just such a small space. But think of mass adoption. How many more eyes are going to be on all of these different tokens? Oh, shit. Look, they have Bitcoin on here now. Oh, XRP, or oh, whatever it is. You have to think of how many other people it's bringing in. And if it's really easy to use, that's exactly what, you know, people need. And I understand, oh, but decentralized, store your own crypto. Most people are too retarded to store their own fucking crypto. And that's just the way that it is. Honestly, some people need a centralized wallet and need a really simplified version, you know, a baby step into crypto. Would I store all of my crypto on here? No. But if it's easy and I'm sharing, you know, or spending in a community, yeah, that's totally fine. But I think mass adoption is what we're aiming for. And just think of the audience, just think of outside the box of just crypto Twitter and just your friends. You know what I mean? There's just so many people out there that use this platform, and especially those that have access to this platform but don't have access to banks and everything. It's banking the unbanked. So I definitely have to ride with Elon on this. I think you know, any way that we can introduce crypto to mass populations, especially people that don't have access to banks and everything, is definitely a win.
Yeah, plus
Guys,
I
can
just
I?
want to add this to Johnny. Johnny and me are both the same way, especially when it comes to PayPal. Like, one of the easiest ways is if you're laying in bed and you're surfing on your phone and you find something that you want to buy, I'll buy it if I can easily buy it with PayPal and I don't have to do anything else. What would be awesome is if you had stuff or advertisements or some integration that was coming through X specifically, and then it allowed you to purchase the items that were coming through the ads utilizing the X payment system. That's where I really think that we're headed to make it. You know, I like to make it. A lot of people might disagree with me on it. I like Amazon telling me what to buy, so I don't have to go and search for it, which I know some people might be against, but I don't have time to go fucking look for stuff to buy, excuse my language. So the easier it is for me to buy something, the more money people are going to get for me if the algorithms can show me the stuff that I would find interesting. Mario, I'm going to kick it over to you. I know your hand's up, and then we'll go back to Abs.
Before you go to Mario, dude, I can't tell you how many times I'm laying in bed and literally, if I could buy it with PayPal, boom, I'm doing it. But if I gotta get up and get my credit card and get the CVC number and all that, forget about it. I'm not doing it. It's just not happening, right? So yeah.
No, I know. Just in case, if you can. Never mind. Never mind. Finish your thought,
But I
Tony.
agree
Sorry.
with Jeremy. If they could, you have to create. You know what? The bottom line is, as humans, unfortunately, we're lazy and we want convenience and simplicity, and we trade off, unfortunately,
Yep.
a lot of things for it. But the reality is, where I was going with this, and then we're kicking the Marios. Whoever solves for that first in this space, that's how you end up getting a killer app, by solving for something like that. And, you know, I mean, you saw what Amazon did. The one-click button. The one click turned Amazon into massive behemoth. Again, everybody loves simplicity, right? And so yeah, we'll see who wins that race in the crypto side of it from a back end perspective.
Yeah, I wanted to add, I think that Jenna said something super important, and we've had these conversations on Good Morning Crypto. Like one of the things that we know we're going to get in the crypto space is adoption, and that adoption can be accelerated exponentially. Like if something that people already use on a daily basis, if it begins to integrate crypto, that's going to accelerate the adoption of crypto. Now, I just did a quick Google search, and Coinbase apparently reported in 2023 has late 2023 105 million users. So 105 million users total registered with Coinbase on a daily basis. As of July 2024, X claims to have 250 daily active users. So that's more than double the total users that Coinbase has. So even if X just introduces basic crypto stuff, basic crypto payments, basic ability to get into some of the popular cryptos that you typically see on platforms that like PayPal and Robinhood, you can buy, you can sell, you can then send it between other X users. I mean, just that alone is going to be huge because it's going to allow for all these people to now start to see it. But again, I think that, and I want to tie this with John Deaton, I think that the very important key to all of this is going to be regulation, because the moment that we get some form of regulation, and obviously we want it to be positive, we don't want it to be negative regulation, it's going to allow for all of these companies that are just currently sitting on the sidelines, not wanting to start working with crypto because it's got this uncertainty type of environment to it. As soon as that some sort of clarity comes into the space, I believe all these companies are going to jump in, and it might take a company like X to kind of be the first one to do it so that the other start to do it. But honestly, I can see a future where all these different social media platforms have a complete ecosystem of a crypto, or even if it's just a token, a payment currency of some sort. It just completely makes sense. And if you take that approach of like the metaverse, and you think of the products that Meta's created with their Oculus and the metaverse, introducing a native token to their ecosystem just completely makes sense in my opinion.
All right, Jenna, I need a bold prediction from you before we move on from this topic.
Oh
In
God.
5 years, which app is bigger, YouTube or X? And I mean for like streaming and like video purposes only. Do you think X has a chance to take down YouTube?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's always a chance, abs, but as strict as YouTube is and they censor so many people, I would 100% say that X could take down YouTube. I think, Rumble will also replace YouTube, but yeah, no, definitely X has a chance as long as they're paying creators and creators are making, something comparable here that they are for their efforts on YouTube, no question.
And also two apps to that. The other thing. No, I was going to say I agree with Jenna that it has the capacity to be something that's larger, especially with like more of the freedom of speech thing. However, the biggest thing though that I want to add to that is that they're going to have to, and XTV might solve this and they might integrate that into the app moving forward, but you have to solve for like the ability to archive, organize, and search for videos the way in which you can on YouTube, for it to be something that it could be a lot more mainstream and compete with it. Because like even as of right now, to even get into their real style, you have to click on a video, the video has to start playing, then you have to scroll through it. There's not like a really great functionality that I'm aware of on X, and I could be wrong, to search for different type of content. And Abs, I don't know if you're talking, but I can't hear you, friend. Can everybody else hear Abs?
I
Let
don't
me know.
hear.
Other speakers, can you hear me?
Oh, now I hear you.
Yeah, now I hear you.
You hear me, guys?
Now I don't hear you.
Now we don't.
This is very weird.
I heard you, abs. I can hear you.
What I can do is I can leave and come back. I'm not sure if the listeners can hear.
No,
Can
you're
anybody who's
good now.
listening?
I can hear you now. You should be good.
Okay, my whole point was that I think the biggest advantage that X has over YouTube is the access to the creator. Anybody can come on X post and they're going to get a response. I don't feel that way about YouTube, but also with spaces like these, the best you can do on YouTube is interact with the live chat, maybe like make a live donation and the content creator will address it. But on this, you can actually get into a space and talk to somebody, and you get access to these people. Like the other day, we were in a spaces with Grant Cardone, and there was just a live Q&A. And for 15 minutes, he just answered random questions from the audience. That having the ability to do that with your real voice, I think Twitch does that well. I think X does that well, but I think YouTube is lacking when it comes to access to the actual content creator. So that's one of the biggest differences. Johnny Crypto, I see you're unmuted. Do you want to close out the topic and then we'll get into some new information, I guess?
Nope, sorry, I just forgot to mute myself. I was tweeting to John D and congratulating him on his win. Sorry about that, but yeah, I'm so excited about the win for him. This is awesome.
Yeah, that is super exciting, guys. So,
Abs, did you
Mikkel,
pull a
I
hat
just want to
trick?
switch gears.
Did you pull a hat trick tonight?
What's that?
Did you go vote 3 different times for a Deaton?
Listen, I used my Venezuelan ID. I used
There
my
you
American
go,
ID.
attaboy. Instead of a hat trick,
guys.
we'll call it an ID trick. There you go.
Listen, that's the modern system, right? Yeah, I don't make the rules. I just play by the rules, guys. So, Mikkel, I did want to get into for anyone who doesn't know me, that is a joke, by the way. I just want to preface that is an absolute joke. So, Mikkel, one of the things that I've been staring at is the performance of Bitcoin, because that's gonna kind of determine how these altcoins perform over the next 3 months. And historically, September, 8 of the last 11 years has been a negative month. So it's basically the most negative month that we have for Bitcoin. There's no other month that has more red years, I guess you would say. So it's important to keep that in mind. But what we're seeing right now is kind of the rapid devaluation of the US dollar, specifically because other countries like BRICS, like the UAE, like some European nations are in the process of de-dollarizing. So as the DXY is breaking down, we see a clear correlation between the DXY breaking down and Bitcoin trending up. Is that what you're seeing as well? Are you optimistic? What's your perspective here?
Yeah, so I think interest rate cuts in September should be pretty much locked in at this point. So hopefully that happens. I believe that should cause a lot of the money right now sitting in money market funds to flow out of those money market funds and start being redeployed back in the market. I believe these things in combination should likely cause that dollar to sell down. And I don't think the dollar selling down causes crypto to pump necessarily, but I think money flowing out of dollars into higher risk assets is going to be good for cryptocurrency. So I foresee that happening towards the back half of this year. I really hope that aligns with some kind of positive progress on cryptocurrency legislation. I think those two things in tandem could cause a lot of that capital flowing out of the money market funds to look for a place to be redeployed and reinvested into the market. And if cryptocurrencies are kind of getting their foothold via regulations and via new policy coming out of hopefully people like John Deaton and Republicans who kind of promised to reverse course on a lot of the hostility towards crypto, I think that could be a very bullish situation for the cryptocurrency market, restarting a cycle that I believe was terminated by a lot of the stuff that happened in terms of hostile regulations against the industry, as well as high interest rates that kind of stifled innovation via the investment side. So hopefully all that sort of turns around towards the back half of this year. And I think if it does, we could really see a restart of the cryptocurrency market.
So, Mikkel, before we kick it around and hear from some of the other speakers here, you brought up something interesting 2 weeks ago when you were on the show, and you said that there's $8 trillion locked in high interest earning accounts. And as the Fed begins to lower rates, we're going to see a ton of that capital move from those high interest earning accounts and flow into some of these capital markets. Could you explain that for somebody who didn't watch the show that day and what that means and how that's important?
Yeah, so we invest obviously a lot differently as retail than institutions, but when you can get a guaranteed rate of 5%, just having your money sit around and you have billions of dollars, well, that's a pretty easy decision. You're going to take investing those funds at 5% and get massive amounts on pretty much guaranteed return. So the Federal Reserve jacked up interest rates to get rid of inflation. And one of the side effects of that was you really weren't getting paid to take a lot of risk in the market anymore, because if you could just go get that 5%, you're going to take it. So what we're seeing is inflation, according to the Federal Reserve's numbers, is much more in line with their target. They've stated that because of this, they're going to be lowering interest rates. And a lot of this money that ran to the sidelines by big institutions is now going to be redeployed as these institutions start to say, okay, the high interest rate part of the cycle is over. we want to start reinvesting capital back into risk assets that can create a return in excess of what they were getting before in the money market fund. So that's kind of the thesis there. It seems to me like no matter what, interest rates will drop, but the tough thing we're balancing right now is whether or not we're going to have some kind of major recession and interest rate drops will be alongside of that, or the interest rate drops will be enough to relieve a lot of the pressure off the market and will kind of just keep running upward. That's a tough one to call, and I don't think anyone can forecast that. But I think either way, we're heading into an environment that's going to be higher liquidity and more capital is going to be reinvested into a lot of the projects we hold. So if that can happen alongside regulations and this industry really getting a foothold in the United States, I think this is going to be a great place for capital to fly to.
And that's why we always talk about creating a plan before we get into the bull run, Mickle, because as these prices start to move, we often talk ourselves out of our exit positions. Like you say, oh, I'm going to wait for Bitcoin to reach $85,000. And then it happens. And all of your friends, everything on Twitter, everything on the mainstream news tells you that we're going to 150,000. So you wait and you wait and you wait and you talk yourself out of opportunity. That's why we created Merlin, guys. And you can check it out 30 days, absolutely free. Head on over to merlincrypto.com. And what we do is we can connect to any exchange, cold wallet, hot wallet, and allow you to create an exit plan so you have price targets and you know exactly how much money you're going to make during the bull run. So it's very important to get in there and set your price targets before the market starts moving. I made that mistake in 2021, and I'll be open and honest about it, guys. I should have taken more profit, but I was a rookie. This is my second time around. Sophomore season here, guys. What do they call it, Johnny? The sophomore? I think it's actually a sophomore slump.
Sophomore
so we're going to skip
jinx,
that
they
analogy.
call it. Sophomore jinx.
Yeah, so we're going to skip that analogy. That doesn't work here, guys. But I did just want to give a shout out. If you haven't heard of Merlin, check it out. 30 days completely free. There's a link underneath the bio for the actual account that's hosting the spaces, or just head on over to merlincrypto.com. But Johnny, we're going to be wrapping this up pretty soon. I lost my train of thought just slightly, but I just remembered where I was going with this. So, Mickle, I broke down some of the prior information from September. Well, we can use the exact inverse of that for October, because October is the most bullish month for the crypto market out of any of the months. In the last 11 years, 9 of them have been bullish, and some of the most bullish months, meaning we went up 60%, 47%, 39%, 28%, and even last year, 28.5% in October. So October typically seems to be a month where Bitcoin performs extremely well. Maybe it's one of those things where we're looking for patterns and we're trying to draw a correlation. But to me, staring at this chart, it does seem very obvious. Just to build off that and wrap the spaces up, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, that's actually what I meant to comment on before, and I totally forgot what you said when you were posting that question. I'm actually kind of a disbeliever of months relating to returns on an asset, because as I look at it, like, you're always going to have massive events that cause the stats to be skewed a certain way. So if you take, obviously, if you're looking at like the worst couple months over the past 5 years, obviously all the months that COVID happened are obviously going to look terrible, but it's not necessarily because every one of those months were bad. In general, most of the months are pretty much the same, kind of reverts to the mean. But if you have one massive event taking place over that time period in a concentration of months, it's going to have a long or a large sway on the rest of the statistics being presented there. So I think to a certain degree, because crypto markets move so cyclical, you do kind of have repeating months that have been very good. So I think when it applies to cryptocurrencies over cycles, you do see a little bit more of a consistent pattern there. But in general, I just think it's always important when you do take those statistics into account, everyone, that you make sure you're just looking at time frame, because obviously if you're looking at a short time frame and there was a big event in that time frame, that's going to skew things big. Most of the statistics are for the entire course of the cryptocurrency cycle. And I think that's where it does get kind of interesting on those specific months. So I think it's going to be really interesting at a higher level to see whether or not we continue to see 4-year cycles repeating, or we kind of move into a time period where it's internet-esque, where you kind of just have the good things going up and to the right and then small corrections along the way. That's what I'm really interested to see. And hopefully we're kind of at the start of that institutional cycle now.
Johnny Crypto, I'm going to kick it over to you. We'll get some closing thoughts from Mario, and then I'll go to Jeremy.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, very similar. Like when you look at historically the charts, listen, the data doesn't lie. We can clearly see that February and October are extremely bullish, have been bullish months. In fact, 9 out of the past 11 Octobers have been extremely bullish and kind of kicked things off. And I took a look at it also following halving years. So yeah, we're primed. I think for I'm expecting. I was told you the other day on the show. I'm expecting us kind of have a pretty bad November. I think we'll have a low November, but then from there on out, I think we'll start to see October, November, December. Should really spin things up, and then there's so many catalysts that potentially are coming, depending on the election results, Fed cutting rates, regulation potentials. A change in the hair, a change in the head of the SEC would be also bullish. There's so many catalysts that are coming up. It's just an exciting time to be in this space. I'm excited about it. Hope everybody's got their exit plans ready. If you don't, like you said, Abs, we created something to help them do that. You can bring all your crypto in one place and be able to build an exit plan so you know when the hell to get out. I never try to get into something if I don't know how I'm getting out. And so, yeah, that's what hopefully, Merlin, we've given people the tool. So you don't want to be making your exit plan. Trust me, we're in the middle of things going high and pumping, right, Abs? You want to be doing it now when things are calm, your head is calm, and you're not in the excitement of all the euphoria and things going off because it's very, very hard to make good decisions then.
And we are in the euphoria era because John Deaton did win today, guys. So there's excitement in the air. And I want to give a special thank you to Mikkel. Mikkel, thanks for making time for us tonight. I am going to kick it to Mario. I'm just waiting for confirmation if he wants to give any closing words here. But any closing words from you, Mikkel? We appreciate you giving us your time. And I think we'll have you, I think next week on GMC, we got to figure it out because we're traveling to Arizona tomorrow, guys. So we're not going to be back live until Monday. We've got a show tomorrow. We got Meta Lawman coming on. So that's going to be a really exciting episode. And then we'll be back on Monday for anybody who didn't know that. But I'd love to get some thoughts from Mikkel. We'll kick it to Mario and close it out.
No, always a pleasure to be here and kick it with you guys. Always a great time. Great to talk with you all, Jeremy, Abs, Johnny. So pleasure being here. Mario, you as well. So this was a lot of fun and always love coming on the show. So thanks for having me up tonight, guys.
Same, Mikkel.
We appreciate you, Mikkel.
Mikkel, really appreciate it, brother. Unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to connect last time, but hopefully we'll be able to do it live and catch some pizza in New Haven. But nonetheless, I really appreciate. We appreciate you coming on and looking forward to many more times doing this together, both here on our show, GMC, and also on yours. I haven't forgotten about you.
Mario, I'm going to kick it to you, and then we'll close
Real quick,
it out.
before we go to Mario, I just have to have a question answered since we brought up pizza. Did you guys go to a pizza place in Rhode Island?
No, that's in September.
Okay, so I can be mad at you next at the next spaces. Okay, that's fair. All right, Mario, we'll kick it over to you for some closing thoughts.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It was great being on with everyone. Great discussions. I think that, bottom line, we can all agree that the future is more crypto, is more technology. So as soon as we can work out through these little bumps on the road, like this regulation and legislation and all of this, honestly, BS that is just trying to slow things down. I mean, it's just going to be a matter of time, and it's only going to be bullish the next 5 to 10 years. Like having the opportunity to invest in these assets in this new sector, this evolution of the internet is just super exciting, and it's there's a lot of gratitude from me to be in this space and to share my thoughts and ideas with everyone in this group. Love you all. Have a good night.
Guys, just one closing word before we kick it to Jeremy here is, Johnny, can you imagine if in 1997 you were able to get on an X Spaces and talk like this? Do you think you would have sold your Amazon? Absolutely not. So we got an advantage over all the baby boomers, all Generation X guys. We get to communicate, share ideas, and talk to each other on this platform. And Johnny Crypto, that's why we get to do it this time around. Just make sure we have our exit targets set, because I really do think we're going to get some super exciting opportunities.
And make sure you don't have 100% exit plan. Don't do what I did and sell all of my Amazon for a tiny profit. When again, at the time I didn't know what I had, and it's unfortunate, right? When you're young and you just make some money, you're like, hey, this is great, and you sell it and you don't realize what you have. And back then, none of us knew what the hell an internet even was. I mean, shit, when you brought it up, people were like, what the hell is that? And it's criminal activity and it's for nefarious stuff. And nobody knew any of this stuff was even really possible, you know? But now the world knows what's possible. It's a different time. And boy, yeah, knowing what we hold now, dude, why do you think I'm holding on like Coach says, like a tick on a dog, baby? I ain't going anywhere. And I definitely ain't selling all my bags. No freaking way. I got an exit plan. You can believe that, baby.
And that's how we're going to end it tonight. I want to say thank you to everybody who joined us. Thank you to Mikkel. Thank you to Jenna. Thank you to Johnny and Mario, as well as every single live listener out there. Shout out to you. I'm going to kick it over to Jeremy, and then we'll close this thing out.
Thank you so much, Abs. I just want to give a special shout out to all of our speakers tonight. Again, our special guest this evening was Mikkel. Subscribe to Mikkel's YouTube channel at Mikkel XRP. You can also follow Mikkel on X at XRP Mikkel. We were also gracious enough or blessed enough to have Jenna from Jenna X Media on tonight. She has been a friend of the family for a very long time, so we appreciate when she is able to make time to do these with us. Follow her here on X, and I believe it's at Jenna X. You can also check her out at Jenna X Media on YouTube for all of her YouTube videos. And also, after you follow her, make sure that you support her with her upcoming fight. She has been training for months for karate combat, and I'm super excited to see her kick some ass. Also, I want to give a shout out to Johnny Crypto, the innovator behind Merlin. You can follow him here on X at JohnnyCrypto00. You can also catch him as Abs' sidekick on the Good Morning Crypto Show Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. So make sure that you check that out. Again, it's on the 3T Warrior Academy YouTube channel. Mario, make sure that you follow Mario as well. You can now follow him on all social media platforms, I believe, at Link to Mario, or at least on, I think, Instagram and X at Link to Mario, and maybe on YouTube at Link to Mario. But go follow him somewhere, and then he'll let you know where else you can follow him. And again, this Spaces was brought to you by X. Your host this evening was Abs, Merlin Senior Engagement Specialist. And again, Abs is the host of the Good Morning Crypto Show. Again, the Good Morning Crypto Show comes to you Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern from the 3T Warrior Academy YouTube page. So go make sure that you follow that YouTube page as well. And you can follow Abs right here on X at AbsGM Crypto. And again, my name is Jeremy. I'm the Chief Finance and Operations Officer for Merlin. You can follow me on all social media at Age of Jeremy and on X at Age of Jeremy Q. And with that, we will close it out with Johnny Crypto's favorite happy little jingle.
Jeremy, you're so good. There it is.
Thank you for tuning in to the Merlin Crypto Market Update located on the X app. I'm Abs, your host and Senior Engagement Officer at Merlin, and we hope you enjoyed this episode from our Merlin X Spaces. Remember, you can catch us live every other Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on the X app at Get Merlin Crypto. If you want to take your crypto tracking to the next level, don't miss out on our free 30-day trial at merlincrypto.com. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.